So the first category we have here is a sleeper. So when we look at this, just kind of framing it up for everybody, this is someone we feel is being vastly overlooked this season, has some real potential to outperform their current ADP by at least a round, if not more. And Jeff, who's that guy we're looking at tonight?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, and as we went through the list of people and players that we could have picked from at the IDP draft kit, we're going to have 10 names in every category between sleeper, breakout, and fades. And this is just kind of a bonus, so these guys won't even be seen on the articles. But our first sleeper guy here is Zach Allen, interior lineman for the now Denver Broncos. His current ADP is D lineman 52. And a lot of reasons to like Zach Allen going forward. He just signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with $32 million guaranteed. So clearly that's not sideline money. He's not going to be holding the clipboard for anybody. He's going to be out on the field playing lots of snaps. He immediately walks in as the second best lineman, arguably, in Denver behind Randy Gregory. And even some might kind of say that Gregory's going to kind of miscast in Denver, and he hasn't quite lived up to the bonus and the signings that he had. Another thing to kind of consider with Allen, the new defensive coordinator in Denver is Vance Joseph, and who just happened to coach Zach Allen in Arizona the last couple of seasons. So clearly there's a strong connection there. Vance Joseph clearly sees something in Zach Allen rather than him resigning in Arizona. Zach Allen signed for obviously big money to play for his old coach and get an opportunity here in Denver. So,
And I'll jump in here quick. I want to say, Jeff, I love that, right? When you see a coach coming in, especially a tenured coach, right? So he knows what he wants, he knows what he's looking for. He's got a player who has performed in a system in the past, and they pay, like you said, real money to come there and take that role. I think that's a huge call, and I think that's something that I don't always say the money's always right, but I definitely think it's leading us to where we want to be, especially when it comes to trying to find some of these IDP values. So I
right, we got
love
to
that
follow the
call out
money.
there.
So, and clearly, that's what's happening here. And the other thing too is Vance Joseph was actually the guy who drafted Zach Allen out of college. So I mean, so he's got even that connection, like going through that scouting, and clearly saw something as a college player, drafted him into the pros in the 3rd round, and now took him with him to Denver. So so clearly there's a strong connection there, and kind of likes what he sees there. So
Agreed.
kind of looking at last year's stats for Zach Allen, he scored 141 points in Big Three scoring, which was good for D lineman 38. And that was despite missing 4 games with a hand injury. And Arizona's season was already lost when Kyler Murray went down, so there was no reason to rush Zach Allen back. So here we're looking at Zach Allen going off the board at D lineman 52, who last season was D lineman 38 without playing 4 games. So, and he was scoring 10.8 points a game before the injury, which would have been good for D lineman 25 in points per game. So, just kind of looking at that value, he's almost 2 rounds better just based on last year's numbers alone. So, just kind of thinking about how efficient he is as a player and that growth from year to year, he's just going to continue to get better. And, grade wise, from year 1 to year 4, he's improved in almost every defensive category: defensive efficiency, rush defense, pass defense. All of those have just been like 10 or 15 digit increases in his grade. So, clearly an ascending player, clearly a coach who wants him, clearly a coach, and they paid him to play. So he's going to see the field early and often, I feel. So,
No, I love this take here. I love Zach Allen. He was someone that I think really, at least in a lot of leagues I played in, made some big splashes. Midway through the year, and really showed up big in the stat sheets. And then eventually, like you said and called out here perfectly, it showed through on the NFL field as well, which is going to lead through to him seeing the high value snaps that we're looking for. Yeah, Baron Browning, Randy Gregory, there's these guys where there's a lot of vacated snaps or a lot of snaps available to this defensive line.
mhm.
And Joseph is seemingly going to want to plug and play this guy from the beginning of the
Yep.
year, and he's going to have the volume of the snaps. So, I mean, worst case, even on an average level, he's going to maintain his value for that. But then having the upside, I think, is what really pushes him into that sleeper range, right? Where you can say, hey, this guy can really deliver for us and be in, that, DL 3-ish range, right? Or, versus this, low end DL4, high end DL5 type situation.
Right. And you're getting him at DL5 prices, and he's more than likely going to be that, DL3 at floor. Ceiling, we're looking at mid, 2, maybe back end 1, if things all fall right. With him, with Bradley Chubb leaving to go to Miami too, that leaves even more vacated snaps. Chubb was playing 51 snaps a game, which is exactly the same number of snaps that Allen was playing for Arizona. So he's clearly able to handle the volume, things like that. One last caveat with him is if your league happens to have defensive tackle as a position, you might want to check out Zach Allen's eligibility, because he might be like a sneaky cheat code. Just depending on how that defensive alignment is in Denver, if they're running a 3-4 or 4-3 hybrid, he might kind of have that dual eligibility, which really could be a nice little cheat code, little Konami code: up, down, side, AB, select, start.
Look at this guy. Nice throwback. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to look at his alignments, but I know that in Arizona at times he was taking a fair amount of snaps from some of those edge rushing positions, right? So yeah, if you can get a guy who's going to give you that defensive interior upside for the floor of what he can do tackle wise, but then on obvious pass rushing situations, maybe he gets kicked out to the edge where he can have a greater opportunity to try and deliver more. Again, just pushes that value up more than what it's clearly at right now. So
yep.
No,
and the last,
great call.
I know I said the last thing ago, but just thinking about like Denver's like play this season, it has to improve. And there's a lot to be said about positive game script. And where Denver last year was like losing a lot of games late, other teams were just running the ball against them. Obviously, if Alex Singleton can rack up 20 tackles in a game with guys just running up the middle to run the clock out, if Denver kind of turns the ship around here with Sean Payton in town, maybe they're winning a few more games towards the end, and then their pass rush kind of becomes more prevalent at the end of the game, and guys like Zach Allen maybe can get a few more pressures and a few more sacks rather than just running the ball up the middle and run the game out. So
I don't know. I'm just trying to decide if you were trying to besmirch the great Alex Singleton right now. So,
he's the linebacker no one really wants, but then all of a sudden, like, he becomes relevant every single season. And I think he signed a pretty big contract too this offseason.
He signed it was a solid deal. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years now off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a sizable contract where clearly he's the guy that they're going to be playing there, alongside Josie Jewell. So that's another one. That's another story for another day.
Right.
So.
That's another write up in another article.